Hello to you. Well, this is Picken, CEO and founder of Migrate. I wanted to bring you this weekly wealth insight. You can see I've got the magnificent Cape Town Harbour. Not a wonderful day, but the beautiful Cape Town Harbour behind me here. I was at an event last night and I thought it was a really good wealth insight that I wanted to share with you. You know, most people in life live from a place of scarcity and competition. They have a scarcity mindset. And I was at an event with Ann Wilson and she played a game with the 200 odd people in the room. And most people default to scarcity, so they try and compete with each other. They got into groups and they had to compete, and they try and compete with each other, and then it's scarcity, which means I win, you lose. And what was really interesting is that the way the game worked was that the highest team won like $12,000 and the team that did the worst lost like $10,000, and yet if they'd all worked together they could have collectively made $76,000. And for me, this wealth insight's about abundance thinking, because what's really, really fascinating is that most people in the world are out there competing with each other. They think that they have to win and others have to lose. Donald Trump's book is, The Art of the Deal, that pretty much says exactly that. But I believe that that is a 20th century mindset. It's a John D Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie type, JP Morgan type mindset. And on top of that, it's also a lower conscious level. So what I mean by that is that it's people that come from a higher conscious level just play at a higher level. If you take someone like Nelson Mandela, he wasn't in the game of win-lose. He was in the game of win-win. And that's abundance thinking. That's where you think, well, how can I think out of the box? How can I create value to everybody? And actually, if you think about it, when you take nature's laws, you know, and you've heard me say this so many times, but a bird flying in a flock can fly 70% further than a bird flying on its own. You know, the shoals of fish swimming through the sea, the herds going across the plains. And yet we as individuals think that we've got to do it on our own and that there's not enough and that there's scarcity. And so we're always trying to compete with each other. And yet actually by working together, we can make 1 + 1 = 3. Or arguably we can even make 1 + 1 = 11. Now again, in scarcity mindset, most people think that it's, 1 - 1, and ultimately it equals being 1 - 1 = 0. But you can make 1 + 1 = 3, I fundamentally believe that you can make 1 + 1 = 11. And what's amazing now is that when you consider partnering and you consider collaborative investing, which is what's been used by the kings and queens of England and the monarchs for centuries, and it's a principle to invest, it's all around abundance thinking. And admittedly, the kings and queens didn't have abundance thinking because they were 100% scarcity, they were 100% about them and everyone else loses. But the beauty is with technology, you can copy the way they did it. So with collaborative investing, you can add the technology part, which is collaborative smart investing. And then you're going to set yourself up for a future where it can be win-win. It can be win-win between you and your partners. It can be win-win between you and your fellow investors. It can be win-win between you and the planet. What about a beautiful vision where you get whatever you want in life, you create the freedom you want for you and your family, you create a legacy for you and your family, and you have a purposeful impact on this planet and leave it as a better place. And it's amazing actually for me when you look at the common denominators between most people, it actually comes down to where do they go back to? Do they go back to scarcity thinking or do they go back to abundance thinking? And what's becoming more and more obvious in the 21st century is that those people that are going to succeed and succeed big, and succeeding is not just money. It's pleasure, it's happiness, it's friends, it's connection, it's purpose, it's impact, are those that think with abundance thinking. So I leave you with a thought. Rather than trying to figure out what's in it for me, the most listened to radio station in the world is WITFM, what's in it for me? Rather than thinking that, rather focus on what Zig Ziglar says. You can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. There's the thought for the day. So just one thing I was thinking about, I just jumped into an Uber, one of my favorite ways to travel. And when you talk about abundance and scarcity, it's a classic example. I'll give you two examples. The one is the taxi drivers. Okay, complete scarcity. Their logic is try and stop Uber. They tried to block airports in South Africa and London and whatever. And all that did was everyone saw it on the news and it made Uber grow and grow and grow. And people didn't even know what Uber was, started to use it. So that's the idea of a platform, because what they do is they cut the costs, they cut out the middlemen, they directly increase the accessibility, the trust and the transparency. And that's why Uber's grown all over the world. And not just Uber, plenty of other platforms just like it. I believe the exact same thing is going to happen in property. And what's so interesting in property is that every property person I've ever met is exactly like Donald Trump. Complete scarcity. They win, you lose. Even their clients, they'll tell them that they look after their clients, but what they actually, their mindset is, what will be the clients be prepared to take, and then they'll take everything else above that. And that's a complete scarcity 20th century model. And where platforms are going is it's about making everyone win. And imagine a world where everyone's winning, where everyone has access to wealth, where everyone has access to invest like the top 1%. And more importantly, where everyone's winning and increasing their, that whole thing, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I hope that in my lifetime, I'll be able to inspire and change the property, the investment and the wealth industry from that scarcity mentality to that abundance mentality. And the more and more partners that we help to change to that abundance mentality, the more and more people that we'll be able to enable. And that, for me, is truly about abundance thinking. And there's a great podcast on platforms and the whole idea of a platform versus an individual company, and it's just so interesting. We all know about Uber, but it's coming to property. Coming live from Cape Town. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel. We bring these to you every single week, and most importantly, we want to try and empower 1 billion people. It starts with a mindset. It starts with a belief. And if you enjoy these videos, please share them with your friends. We all have a collective responsibility to solve the greatest challenge on the planet, which is the wealth gap or income inequality. And at the end of the day, it starts with you. Because, if you take control of your life and you inspire and share with others, then we can have a ripple effect of, they call it the butterfly effect, where one little butterfly flapping has a big impact, thousands of kilometers away. So consider yourself and the impact you want to have on this planet. And I'll leave you with one thought. Create the planet you want to see. Cheers.